and Kornhauser.
And I'm Sam Teets.
And we are here for another NFL draft show here on The Grueling Truth, where legends speak. And Grueling Truth is brought to you by the betting.net, your best bet for sportsbook and casino sites. So head on over to betting.net. Now, Sam, I know it's not Monday, but it's still a mock draft day. I mean, every day could be a mock draft day if you're a fiend. But it's on Mock Draft Monday, but it's still Mock Draft Tuesday. We're going to go with that this week. And we last did our mock draft 2 weeks ago yesterday. So I think it's time. I think it's time. Last week we talked about the Senior Bowl, and now we get to make some picks. Everyone loves mock drafts. And since Sam started us off on the last mock draft, picking first with the Jaguars, I'm going to take the first pick this time. We're going to be ping-ponging these. First me, then him, and so on and so forth. All 32 picks of this first round. Sam, are you ready?
I'm all set. Let's get right into it.
All right. With the first pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. And I'm going to take Evan Neal. It's boring. It's played out, but it makes too much sense. Recent reports say that they're definitely looking to upgrade the protection in front of Trevor Lawrence. That is a huge need, no matter what happens in free agency. Evan Neal, offensive tackle, Alabama. Sam, the Lions are on the clock.
Taking the hometown kid. Why go far away when you just take a guy from Michigan? Aiden Hutchinson here is the pick for Detroit. He works hard. He's a really good motor. There's a lot of ways he can win at the line of scrimmage. He's effective in the running game. I think he gives you a solid all-around player. He's not on the same level as previous top defensive end picks, like a Myles Garrett, or Nick Bosa. He's not going to be that kind of player. But he's still going to be a high-caliber defensive end for you. And frankly, looking at the rest of the board, the only player I consider possibly better than him in the draft right now is Kyle Hamilton. And taking a safety at second overall is out of the picture for me.
I've seen some mock drafts that did that, and it disgusts me. It disgusts me to no end. I mean, I know Hamilton might be the top prospect on some teams' boards, and maybe the best top prospect overall. But you don't take a safety DB type guy at two overall. It's ugly. But the Houston Texans are now on the clock. I'm going to go Kayvon Thibodeau, edge rusher from Oregon. Don't overthink it on this one. This team needs everything. Which might be the highest ceiling edge rusher in this draft class. Athletic as hell. Jets, 4th overall. Sam, you're up, bud.
Yeah, and with the Jets on the board, I mean, there's 2 options probably, 2 or 3 options. And I'm going to take Ike Ekwonu, offensive tackle from NC State. Even if things turn out bad with him, he's still going to be a very effective guard at the NFL level, and we know this. We've seen him play both guard and tackle in college. This past year was much better in pass protection. They've had some issues with Mekhi Becton. The injury last year, some questions about him being able to maintain his weight, which we had problems with going back to Louisville. So there's some issues with Mekhi Becton. If he doesn't work out long-term, you got Ekwonu around. At least you know you have one starting tackle to work with.
Okay, so Ekwonu is off the board right before the Giants. I know Giants fans would be pretty disgusted if that were to happen, because the Giants would probably, you know what, I would have taken this guy right here, 5th overall. But since he's not on the board, they still need offensive line help. I don't know if they would want to try to wait to the 2nd round. I think that's threatening. One of these 2 picks has to be an offensive lineman. And I don't want to give Carolina the chance to cock block me. So I'm going to take Charles Cross here, 5th overall, the offensive tackle from Mississippi State. Plug him in at right tackle. And let's see what Barkley and Jones can do. Carolina, 6th overall, is on the board.
And they're a hard team to draft for because they have a bunch of talented players on their roster. And they would have loved to have gotten Charles Cross. They've had a different starting left tackle every year since Jordan Gross retired in the early 2010s. So they would have loved to get Charles Cross, but you took him from me. And frankly, there's no other offensive lineman that I would trust to draft this high. At this point, you're too good of a team to be taking just best player overall. I'm gonna take a quarterback. I'm gonna do it, and I'm just gonna swing for the fences. I'll take Malik Willis here. It's not a pick that I personally would love. I would not like if I was Carolina, if I was a Carolina Panthers fan, I'd be livid right now.
Disgusting.
But let's be honest. I mean, you're not gonna get a guy like, is Aaron Rodgers gonna go to Carolina? Is he gonna want to trade to Carolina? It's not gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna happen. So If you want to actually win games and you're Matt Rule and you want to actually be around for this time next year, you probably have to take a shot at quarterback in the draft.
All right, Malik Willis, first, I guess you could say stunner thus far. Quarterback from Liberty. And the Giants are back on the board. They get this pick from Chicago, and I've been slacking with the clock, so I'm going to start at 30 seconds. Here we go. So 7th overall, the Giants would have a lot of different options. I keep ping-ponging this pick. I don't want to go secondary. I don't want to go Kyle Hamilton. But they do need edge rush help. And they could even swing for the fences and go for Linderbaum, just completely overhaul this offensive line real surely. I've gone David Ajabo in the past. I'm going to go George Karlaftis, the edge rusher from Purdue here. Power, just aggressiveness. I like what I see out of him as an edge rusher. Him opposite Ojulari would be solid. And the Falcons, 8th overall, sitting on the clock. Boom.
Yeah, before we get to that, looks like we have some comments actually coming in. I think Gunner's boss is a little bit confused. He's wondering why this is not the NBA show with Dan and Bob right now.
Yes. Okay. So this let me stop the clock real quick. So yes, Gunner's boss, Shoot the J with Dan and Bob will possibly be coming on after this. I have to talk to my cohort. I want to talk NBA stuff. I want to talk trade deadline. I want to talk Knicks, Nets, a lot of crazy things. So maybe we'll see. But thanks for tuning in. And Joseph Michael with a bunch of question marks.
I think that was for the Malik Willis pick, I'm pretty sure.
Was it for the Malik Willis? All right. Well,
this is what we're doing.
We're dropping bombs out here. Dropping bombs out here. Here we go. We're back on the clock. 8th overall, Falcons. You're up, bud.
Well, you left me Jermaine Johnson. And Jermaine Johnson, this would be a heck of a climb for him to end up from being the guy who'd be in the low 20s to being in the top 10. But I'm telling you, when I watched at the Senior Bowl, I really like him. And there were people who were mocking him in like the 15, 16 range. A climb up to 8 is really not that big of a jump when you consider the fact that Atlanta has needed an edge rusher since Vic Beasley kind of flamed out 4 or 5 years ago. I'm taking Jermaine Johnson here.
I like it. A Senior Bowl standout, top 10. That's quite a jump. It wouldn't be unheard of, especially after that Senior Bowl performance for him. So 9th overall, the Denver Broncos on the clock. I am convinced this team is going to go find themselves a veteran. There's a few options. They will sell the farm, I'm sure. This team is Super Bowl ready. They're just a quarterback away. I think this would leave them in a good position to take the best player available. I don't want to go with a linebacker here, but there's really nowhere else to go. So I'm going to go BPA. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go BPA. I'm going to go Kyle Hamilton right here. He'd be a nice weapon for this secondary. Move him around, play him at linebacker, play him in the slot, play him at deep safety. Get yourself a nice defensive weapon and keep going. New York Jets, 10th overall.
Yeah, at this point, you're looking at the board, and you already got your offensive tackle. You have 2 edge rushers coming back next year. I think people keep knocking them edges. You have 2 guys under contract already. I think you'll be fine with that. I look at corners, and Derek Stingley's on the board at 10. And frankly, you didn't have to take him at 4, which a lot of people were mocking him a couple of months ago. Now, if you can get him at 10, I think that's a lot of increased value. As long as he checks out medically, Derek Stingley's the pick here.
Short and sweet. I love it, man. Didn't even need 30 seconds. So Derek Stingley, corner, LSU, 10th overall to the Jets. And Joseph Michael said, yes, it was the question marks and the wow to the Malik Willis pick.
Don't worry. I have my reservations about that pick too, but I just don't know where else you could possibly go.
Blowing minds out here. All right, so 11th overall, Washington, the Washington Commanders, which I hate. I hate it so much. It's the worst name ever. This is another team that's going to be going for a quarterback. And as much as I know they'll want to go for a veteran piece via trade, there's really nothing on the free agent market. You cannot go into the season with Heineke and a bacon, egg, and cheese at the position. If they don't get that starting quarterback via trade, they're going to have to get one here. I think they would want to lean more towards a mobile guy, someone who can make things happen. Kenny Pickett is the safe pick. And maybe this is just me a little bit of a homerism here because I like this quarterback, but I'm going to go Matt Corral here, quarterback from Ole Miss. Coral! I know he's fallen down on a lot of people's boards, but I'm not going to knock a guy just because he didn't play in the Senior Bowl. The tape is right, and I like him moving forward. Minnesota, 12th overall on the board.
Yeah, Minnesota's an interesting team. You're kind of waiting to see what they do with Kirk Cousins. Rumors are they're going to keep him, but there have been certainly some people pushing to have him replaced. I'm going to keep it simple. They have to rebuild that defense. It's getting older. I'm taking with David Ojabo. He's a developmental guy. He's going to take some time to get into his NFL shape. He's relatively new to the sport, but I think he's a good long-term future here.
All right, David Ojabo, edge rusher from Michigan. Here we go. Cleveland Browns, 13th overall. I'm on the clock. 30 seconds. Boom. So here's a weird spot. They need a wide receiver. They could probably stand to add a little bit of help along the offensive line. Or rather, defensive line, linebacker. Let's give Baker some help. The man needs some help. Let's give him Drake London, wide receiver from USC. Jameson Williams is available. The injury knocks him down a little bit. Olave's there. Garrett Wilson. Hell, even Treylon Burks. A lot of good options at receiver. But Drake London can just jump up. He's one of the best receivers in contested catches. Baker could throw it up and hope for the best. He could be his new Mike Evans.
You can bail him out from all those terrible throws he makes. Got that nice long catch radius to help him out there.
Well, anything to help that kid out because they are keeping him. So, Baltimore, 14th overall, they are on the clock.
Yeah, Baltimore's got a lot of issues. Baltimore, I think this is the first spot you can start to see that cornerback rush start going because they have issues. They've got Marlon Humphrey coming off an injury. They got Marcus Peters probably going to be cut. He missed this past season. He's getting older. They can save cap space by releasing him. If that happens, I'm taking Ahmad Gardner. Now you've got Marlon Humphrey and Ahmad Gardner, two of the most physical corners in the NFL. Gardner, he's long, he's aggressive, he's going to be great in press coverage. One of the most productive, if not the most productive college football cornerback in recent history in terms of not allowing guys to get the best of him in coverage. This is an excellent pick for Baltimore.
Damn, that's a hell of a pick. And I know if Philadelphia, if this is the way the board fell in real life, Philly and their fans would be repulsed because I would have loved to take in Gardner right here. That was the guy I had lined up right here with this pick. But he's off the board, and I'm on the clock. 15th overall, the first of 3 Philadelphia Eagles first-round picks. Now, I don't think they're going to actually have these 3 first-round picks when it's all said and done. I think they're going to go really hard for one of these veteran quarterbacks on the trade market. And with 3 firsts and Jalen Hurts, they have the ammunition to make some moves. But since we're not doing that here, they have a lot of needs on the defensive side of the ball. I like the way things have been trending up so far this offseason with this player. I'm going to beef up the secondary. I'm going to take one of your boys. I'm going to go Trent McDuffie, corner from Washington right here, 15th overall.
There you go.
And
quite a bit.
And the Eagles are back on the clock, but this time you're making the pick.
Yeah, this time I get to choose. It's an interesting situation where the Philadelphia Eagles are kind of midway to being a competitive team. I don't love anything we have out there right now. I'm stuck at this point where they have so many picks, it's kind of confusing where they should go. You know what?
I don't love anything on the board right now, but
I don't either. I mean, I would have taken Tyler Linderbaum, but the rumors are Kelsey's coming back for another year, so there's no point.
Don't be.
I'm going to take Kenyon Green. This is probably a really weird spot for him to go. But Brandon Brooks recently retired. They've had kind of a bit of a revolving door at one of the guard spots. Landon Dickerson's going to hold down at least one of those positions for 1 year, and then he's going to probably move to center to replace Jason Kelsey. So you're going to have a guard opening either this year or next year because you have that one revolving door situation on the one side, Dickerson on the other. He might be moving to center. This gives you a guy who can play guard and maybe play tackle if Lane Johnson gets hurt.
I like it. So now the LA Chargers are on the board. 30 seconds have begun for me. Now, they need defensive line help. You know that. I know that. Everybody knows that. But that's boring. I don't want to do that here. I think we've done that in the past couple mock drafts, and I'm going to go in a different direction. I think it'd be nice if they lose Mike Williams in free agency to bring in a similar-sized receiver and someone who can make plays after the catch someone who had a really good game against Alabama, put up some really impressive stats. I'm going to go Treylon Burks, wide receiver from Arkansas. Give that man the ball on a slant, let him run away from people. He can be a poor man's DK Metcalf.
There you go. He might be able to take carries out of the backfield too. Something DK Metcalf, I don't know if he can do that. So
there you go. So doing a little bit of everything out there in LA. And now the New Orleans Saints, 18th overall, sitting on the clock. Are they going to take a quarterback here, bud?
I mean, they're probably going to be tempted to, but I think they'll try to go veteran guys here. They kept the organization basically the way it is by hiring from within, and I still think they're going to try to compete by doing that. If they had blown everything up and brought in new people, I think they would have taken a quarterback. But the way they've acted, I think they're just going to try to stay in pat and do it they basically been doing the past couple of years. To me, this is either Trevor Penning or it's wide receiver. I don't love Trevor Penning enough to take him here, so I'm going to make Jameson Williams the pick for the New Orleans Saints. Michael Thomas apparently is not going anywhere, so pair him with Jameson Williams.
Jameson Williams, here we go. All right, so back-to-back wide receivers, and they're starting to come off the board. That's 3 in the last 6 picks. And now here I sit with the Philadelphia Eagles back on the clock. They went corner. They went offensive line. They still need defensive help. I'm disgusted both Ojabo and Jermaine Johnson are off the board. I probably would have gone one of them right here. But I'm going to mix it up. You know what? I'm going to go back to a pick we've done before. It makes a lot of sense. I love the prospect. Slide right in there. I'm going to go Nakobe Dean, linebacker from Georgia. The Eagles have one of the worst linebacking core in the NFL. This has been a shoe-in from the first mock draft with this team. Plug and play. And now here we go. Your Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock, and there's a certain quarterback that plays nearby there on the board. Is this where his fall ends?
Absolutely not. I've got 3 offensive tackle or 3 offensive line prospects I'm looking at right here. I got 3 offensive line prospects. I've got Trevor Penning to choose from. I've got Zion Johnson. I got Tyler Linderbaum. One of those 3, and I'll be perfectly happy as long as I get one of them. For me in this situation, it's going to be Tyler Linderbaum, just the pure center. Zion Johnson offers more versatility, certainly, but I love Tyler Linderbaum. For me, he's a blue-chip prospect, one of the 4 blue-chip prospects I have. It's hard to pass up that value at this point in the draft, so I'm going to add him to our roster with a terrible offensive line.
God damn. All right, so we have a quarterback sliding. Kenny Pickett is dropping down the board. I wonder where his fall will end because the Patriots are on the clock at 21st overall, and they're not taking a quarterback. Now, with New England, it's always hard to say where they'll go. It's pretty clear they're probably going to address receiver, edge rusher, linebacker, secondary over the course of the draft. There's some really good options on the board here. I'm really tempted to take one of these corners, and I'm looking hard at these receivers. I'm going to go with one of these corners. We know how Bill likes his secondary, likes his defense. I'm going to go with Andrew Booth here, cornerback from Clemson. Lots of athletic ability. Didn't play a lot due to injury in college, but the talent's there. The tape is there when he plays, and the potential's through the roof. And they have some decisions to make in the secondary. J.C. Jackson might be out as a free agent. You know they don't typically like to pay guys, but we'll see. They might franchise tag him, draft Booth, let Jackson go next year. Who knows? But Andrew Booth, I think, is a good pick here for the Patriots.
All right, that puts the Raiders on the clock, and
yes, sir.
They drafted Alex Leatherwood last year to be a starting tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Was Alex Leatherwood a starting tackle last year? He wasn't, no. And Trevor Penning's on the board right now. I'm not a huge fan of Trevor Penning, I'll be honest. But he has the mentality that I could see the Raiders personnel looking at his mentality, his play, the mean streak, and saying, oh, that's a Raiders football player. And I could see them rolling with that. So I'm taking Trevor Penning here. Look, he can't be worse than Alex Leatherwood. That's your consolation prize here. I mean, you're going to get someone who can give you some help and at least replace Brandon Parker at right tackle.
I mean, that's a great pickup, and he's nasty. He is nasty offensive tackle. I like his tape. Arizona, 23rd overall, on the clock. I mean, I see no reason. Their biggest need is corner, and it is ugly. It is so bad. I'm not buying anything about the Kyler Murray drama. I'm not buying any of it at all. So that I don't think there's anything to that. They're not going to be looking for his replacement or nothing like that. No tomfoolery. But I think corner has to be on their minds with this pick. They have to address the position, and there's a few good options. But I'm going to go with another one of your favorites. I think it was Roger McCreary, cornerback from Auburn.
Yes, sir.
Well,
I'm very big fan of Roger McCreary.
Oh, two of you boys I've taken at the position in this mock draft. We're going off the deep end, I think.
Yeah, I know we're flip flopping a little bit here, but it's all right. You'll like him, I promise you.
So here we go. You're on the clock. Dallas Cowboys, 24th overall.
Yeah, to me, Dallas needs some help in the trenches. They have DeMarcus Lawrence, obviously, on the defensive side of the ball. But I think Randy Gregory might be a free agent this year. I'm not entirely sure. Even if he's not, he's dealt with some injuries and issues in the past. I might want to be looking to a long-term replacement. However, I'm going to stick on the offensive line. I'm going to go with Zion Johnson. He's going to play guard in the situation, although he might swap in the center. You never know. I'm not too impressed with the center they have right now. Tyler Yadash, I believe is how you say his name. I can't really tell, to be honest. And then you've got Connor Williams, who I think might be a free agent as well at left guard. Zion Johnson can replace at least one of those guys.
Now, you had Zion Johnson going to the Bills in our last mock draft 2 weeks ago. So he moves up one slot for you to 24th overall. And now here I sit disgusted that
I know. I was looking down the board. I'm like, you know what? Him going to the Bills would be another really good fit. I can't let that happen.
So I sit here with the Buffalo Bills on the clock. They probably would want to add to their D-line. They might even consider adding a receiver if Emmanuel Sanders retires. Although I like what they have at the position other than Diggs. But this is a team with no holes, so they can literally go best player available. I think this would be a good slot if they wanted to go this route to take a receiver. I like Garrett Wilson for this offense. I think he would slide in nicely. I like his explosiveness in the short field, and he's shown to be a weapon at Ohio State. Him and Diggs would be a very nice pairing. Maybe take this Bills passing game to that next level and then see what Josh Allen can really do. And the Tennessee Titans are on the clock, 26 overall. Here we go. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty.
I'm tempted to make the stunner here and just take Kenny Pickett. But I just looked at Ryan Tannehill's contract, and it's going to be hard to move this year. So I don't think they're going to do that. Because Pickett, to me, is one of those pro-ready kind of guys, like a Mac Jones that comes in and starts right away. I view Pickett as in a similar fashion. So that puts Tennessee in a bit of a tight spot. They get a lot of options, though. I'm just going to make the easy pick here for me. I'm going to take Devin Lloyd. For him to fall this far, I think it's a value. I understand off-ball linebackers are not all the hype right now. But Lloyd, I mean, he can rush the passer. I think he had like 8 sacks this past year or one season in college. He can rush the passer, great tackler, long arms to help in coverage. I think he'll be perfectly fine in Tennessee.
All right. Well, now that you took Devin Lloyd, I'm not even going to start the clock because the Kenny Pickett slide ends right here. Tom Brady retires. I don't trust Trask at quarterback. They drafted him last year out of Florida at the end of the second round. I don't think he's ready to be a starter. They're another team. I think they have Blaine Gabbert or something like that. It's gross out there. They can't allow that to happen. So I don't know. They'll probably go for a veteran quarterback, but there's only so many of these guys to go around, and they don't want to be left out. If Kenny Pickett slide in, he's pro ready. Slide him right in. So the slide ends here. Kenny Pickett, 27th overall to the Bucks, and with that, the Green Bay Packers, 28th overall, are now on the clock.
Yeah, and they need help along the offensive line, but unfortunately, the best lineman available is probably Bernard Ryman from Central Michigan or Daniel Falele from Minnesota. I'm just not about to put them in the first round right now. Based on what we've seen, you have a possibility of losing Devontae Adams this offseason. Aaron Rodgers obviously will not love that. If you want to keep him around long-term, which it sounds like they do, you need to get him some other receiving options. I'm going to take Chris Olave from Ohio State here and plug him into a wide receiver room that really doesn't have a lot of talent in it outside of Adams.
Chris Olave, 28th overall, wide receiver, Ohio State, off the board. And now Miami Dolphins with their new coach, an emphasis on the ground game. They're sitting 29th overall. And this is one of those weird picks in this round because they have a few needs, receiver, running back, offensive line, can maybe add to the edge. But the way the board's fallen, I don't really like any of the value at any of those. So I think I'll go best player available. And if we're going to shore up anything, shore up the defensive line, I think this would be a nice spot for there he is, for DeMarvin Leal. He's more of an inside guy, but he can move all around, and I like his overall game. I think it's not a perfect fit, but he is scheme versatile. I think that's valuable in today's NFL.
Yeah, he can play in a handful of different schemes. I think he could be a 3-4 defensive end. I think he could be a base end in the 4-3 front. So you can play him a little bit everywhere.
And now the Kansas City Chiefs, 30th overall.
Yeah, at this point, they need a couple things. They need a wide receiver to complement Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. They need that third option. They need cornerback help desperately. And they need an edge rusher because they're probably going to cut Frank Clark this offseason to save some cap space. These positions all stink, I'll be honest with you. They really are picked over, all three of those spots. But they're premier positions. This is what happens. Looking at the board right now, I'm going to go, I guess, with the safe pick in the situation, go Jahan Dotson. You know, a bit of a dynamic player, a little shifty out of Penn State. Not like a tall guy, not going to be able to run through tackles, but at the same point, like I said, a shiftier player. He's got some speed, the ability to take the top off defenses. I think they can help out their offense quite a bit. And just unfortunately, the edge rushing class is deep. You can get that later. And the cornerback help, you might be have to dealing with scraps again, Mike Hughes and those kind of players.
All right, so the Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock, and I mean the obvious pick would be Raymond, the offensive line and all that. I'm going to go in a different direction, and this might surprise you, and it's surprising me that I'm going to say it out loud because I'm looking at it and I hate it. But I think it would help take this offense to the next level. They have a lot of weapons in the passing game, but they need something in the middle. I'm going to go with a tight end. I'm going to go Trey McBride here because I was looking for a spot to see where I could fit a tight end in because I think Trey McBride is a possible first-round pick at the tail end of this first round. I played with the idea of putting him in there with the Dolphins, but I think they might bring Gesicki back. They like him. New coaching staff or not, he's been useful for them. And league-wide, the tight end position, barren landscape. So I'm going to go Trey McBride here. Izuma seemed to pick things up for him, but when he got hurt, it kind of took away a little safety blanket. We know young quarterbacks like tight ends. Why not? Trey McBride, tight end, Colorado State.
It is an interesting one. That's probably the second most interesting pick in this first round, right behind Malik Willis going 6th overall to the Bengals.
Well, we can't do the same things all the time. I don't want to be boring and keep putting the same offensive tackles up there, the same offensive linemen. It's whack, man. Got to mix it up.
I don't think Ryman's worth the first round pick anyway. So being honest, like you probably would take him. He's a 2 or 3 year developmental guy. If you're the Bengals, you just made the Super Bowl. You want to win now. So
that's what I'm saying. And I think I made that pick thinking they would bring back like Bates and stuff like that in the secondary. But anyway, so this is it. Michael Jackson, the last pick of the first round. Detroit Lions are on the clock. They got this pick from the Rams. And who are my Lions taking? Let's hear it.
Western Kentucky quarterback Bailey Zapp. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, God.
I won't do that to you. But, I mean, for real, I think they'll consider taking Sam Howell. From what I've heard, there are a bunch of teams that like him. Even if to go in the first round, I'm not going to have him go there. But I think they will consider taking Sam Howell this late in the draft. Looking at your need, I mean, you basically need just good players at this point. Like, it's just simple. Don't overthink. Just draft good players. Draft versatile players. And this is a guy who I don't know if we've had in the first round before, but I'm going to throw Daxton Hill in here. Safety from Michigan. He's good at to play a slot cornerback role as well. So a versatile defensive back can fill multiple positions on your defense. A little bit of a chess piece for you. Not quite as dynamic as, like, say, a Tyrann Mathieu, but someone in the same mold that will be able to move around, play slot, play safety, play in your line of scrimmage as well, and kind of contribute in every facet of the defense.
All right, so there it is. The first round is in the books, folks. And if you've stuck with us so far, I want to thank you so much. And I am going to take this moment to remind you guys that The Grueling Truth is powered by betting.net. And betting.net is your best bet for finding the online casino or sportsbook that's right for you. So head on over to betting.net. And before we wrap things up here, we're approaching a 30-minute broadcast, which is actually one of our faster ones and one of our quicker times. But Let's go down the list one more time, 1 through 32. Again, I started us off and we ping-ponged them. So 1 through 10, Jaguars went Neal, tackle Alabama. Lions, Aiden Hutchinson. Texans, Kayvon Thibodeau. Jets, 4th overall, Ikeem Ekwonu. Charles Cross, 5th to the Giants. Malik Willis, 6th to the Panthers. George Karlaftis, 7th to the Giants. Jermaine Johnson, edge rusher from Florida State. Riding high, Atlanta picks him 8th overall. Kyle Hamilton, 9th to the Broncos. And Derek Stingley, 10th to the Jets. Quarterbacks, there was only one in the top 10. That was Willis. Matt Corral, 11th to the, I was going to say the Redskins, Jesus. To the Commanders.
It's going back a little bit. They're 2 games removed from that now.
Yeah, gross. To the Commanders, 11th overall. The next quarterback, though, fell quite a bit. Kenny Pickett, 27th to the Bucks. Now, what would you say was your biggest surprise of this mock draft?
Well, I think the biggest surprise was how far it's between Wales going 6th overall and how far Kenny Pickett fell. Really, it's the quarterback situation because it is so up in the air. All it takes is one team to fall in love with the quarterback to make them go in the top 10 and make them be highly overdrafted. Because frankly, I don't consider any of these guys worth top 10 picks this year. But Willis has the most physically dynamic skill set of the bunch, and teams love to chase that. As I said, the Panthers, Matt Rule might be feeling the heat a little bit in terms of job security, and getting a rookie quarterback is a good way to extend his time in Carolina by at least one more year. And for Pickett, it stinks because he had of the quarterbacks in this draft class, he had the best year by far in his senior year of college football. It's just that all these teams right now, they're chasing Russell Wilson. They're chasing Aaron Rodgers. If Deshaun Watson is cleared of some of these charges, they'll go after Deshaun Watson. I'm sure of it. I mean, those are the guys they want.
Yeah.
They don't want to take one of these quarterbacks in the first round. So it's kind of hard to put them in a situation to draft these guys when we know they're chasing the proven superstars.
There's only so many to go around, though. That these teams know that, and they're gonna. That's the thing. We're talking about, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, we're talking about the upper echelon guys, and even to a lesser extent, Jimmy Garoppolo is obviously available on trade market. Carson Wentz is going to be out there one way or the other.
Carson Wentz might get cut. He might get Carson Wentz for a huge discount.
There's a lot of shifting pieces at the quarterback position. We thought 2 years ago or whatever it was, last year, 2 years ago, was going to be crazy. This offseason is going to be wild if we get half the moves that we're talking about. People think there might be, but for me, the biggest surprise looking over this draft board, the biggest surprise was teams not really reaching. The board kind of fell how it fell. I mean, Ahmad Gardner dropped a little bit. I figure he could very well be a top 10 pick at the end of the day. Tyler Linderbaum, you surprised me when you pass on a quarterback there. That actually surprised me.
I'm so pessimistic about Pittsburgh's ability to draft a QB that I just refuse to do it because I know it won't work out.
I mean, it's not like you pass on a quarterback for a reach or something ridiculous. You took Tyler Linderbaum, who may very well be a top 5 talent overall in this class at the end of the day. So that's a win. And like you said when you picked them, they need offensive line help all over the place. And if you're going to have a new quarterback, you got to give him some love. We see what Joe Burrow went through, and it cost him a Super Bowl. But yeah, I like this. It's definitely different from the last one that we did. And I'm going to see about maybe posting this on the Grueling Truth maybe tomorrow or sometime this week, so we can start tracking this publicly and see how things go as the season goes on. Some names still on the board, though, that are getting some love in mock drafts and getting love in the rumor mill this offseason. Trevon Walker, the defensive lineman from Georgia, was not selected in this mock. Perion Winfrey, who was another superstar at the Senior Bowl, still on the board. Yep, Jordan Davis, who I deemed a big boy, I think on our first or second show. Davis is a weird one, and since you mentioned it, I don't want to touch on him real quick because this is a guy who, oh man, my inner Chris Collinsworth. Yeah, here's a guy. No, Jordan Davis is a guy who was at the top of a lot of mock drafts. He was looked at as a potential top 5, top 10 pick when the season began. And the athletic talent is there, and it's not questionable. But as we've discussed, teams are also seemingly concerned that he might just be nothing more than a potential, high ceiling run stuffer.
Yeah, he might be I think he's a 2-down nose tackle, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's a team that can still take him in the first round, frankly. Mm-hmm. But that's a low value position. I mean, we're talking about so much about the NFL now. It's about the value of position. Center is a low value position. I just picked one because I know Pittsburgh needs one desperately. Off-ball linebacker is a lower value position. Nose tackle, it's going to play 600 snaps for you in a year. Mm-hmm. When you play in a year maybe with 1,200, 1,300 defensive snaps, that's a low value position in more ways than one. At least the center plays every down. You're not going to get that from a nose tackle. And frankly, in this class, when you can get Travis Jones from UConn in the second round or someone like that later in the draft, you don't really need to go all out for Jordan Davis in the first round. You just don't need to.
Yeah, I mean, the depth on the defensive line is something special this year. Leo might not even have been taken in our mock if I didn't just plug him in randomly at the end of the first round.
He probably would have fallen out. He probably would have been right there with Travon Walker, sitting at the top of the undrafted board.
And that's crazy how much talent there is on the board. That 4, 5 potential first round defensive linemen starters drop to the second round. That's something special. I know the defensive line and the edge were deep this year, but
there's a whole bunch of guys who special. All it takes is one team to fall in love with the prospect to make him a first round pick. You could see someone take an Arnold Ebiketie or a Drake Jackson from USC and make them a first round edge rusher because they just have to like them. Yep. And I could see both. I mean, we've seen buzz with Arnold Ebiketie getting some first round mocks. Drake Jackson, there's some teams that really like the guys like that who are young, athletic, bendy, flashy edge rushers. I think you could see a team fall in love with one of those guys and make him a first round pick.
So besides the defensive lineman, if the draft fell this way, the way we did, Kyer Elam's still on the board, Sam Howell, Desmond Ritter still out there.
I forgot about Kyer Elam also, to be honest. I almost forgot about him entirely.
Yo, that's the thing. And it's weird because he's another one who, for most of the year, was looked at as a surefire first-round pick. But he's kind of getting lost as the process goes on because Gardner and Stingley are at the top. That's, not even a debate or a conversation. It's them two and then everybody else. And at that point, it becomes, who do you like? What does your team need? What kind of system are you running? Some teams might favor a Trent McDuffie over Elam, or Roger McCreary, or Kyler Gordon even, or somebody like that, Darion Kendrick. I mean, these corner rankings could be all over the place. Martin Emerson. And you just don't know at the end of the day. There's so many talented guys there. Elam could very well fall out of the first round. A lot of these guys. Andrew Booth might fall out because teams don't trust his injury history. It could get really crazy. But that's one thing I'm looking forward to with the scouting combine. It's going to help us sort out a lot of this stuff. We'll know more with the interviews. We'll know about more with the health and the physicals that are being taken there.
I want to see how Elam runs, frankly. I want to see how he runs. I want to see how he looks in just transitions and stuff like that. Explosiveness, those kind of measurables for him.
I mean, the size and the athleticism is never questioned. 6'2", 192 listed.
No.
So
long arms too.
Yep. So that's a thing. Sam Howell. I mean, this isn't top heavy. There's no top overall pick that everyone's consensus on, but I like the talent there, and I think we might see a lot of movement in the back end of the first round, in the front of the second round. Teams jostling, moving up and down for guys that they're targeting, and it's going to be all these guys that we've been mentioning. It's going to be the Enegbares, the Emersons, the McCrearys, the Elams, etc., the Devontae Wyatts, and stuff like that.
Jaquan Brisker, even from Penn State, the safety, is probably going to be up there as well.
It could get really crazy. Cameron Thomas from San Diego State, if he shows out, Jalen Petrie. Damone Clark. There's
even
so
Logan
much.
Hall from Houston.
Yeah, dude, there's so much going on, and I've been sorting out my big board here as well, and I'm liking it. I like my big board. I'm gonna look at it a bit more once you get off the air and marvel at how awesome it is.
I gotta put together another one. I have to put together a post Senior Bowl one before the combine hits, so I have to find time to do that.
Well, you let me know when. I will share it on my my Twitter, and I will look it and I will share it. And I'm excited. I love those big boards. I love the mock draft. Let's do it. And before we get off the air, we are on Twitter. What's your handle?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Sam_Teets33. That's TEETS. That's where I post all the links to my latest draft content. If I do a video, I'll post a YouTube link there. So you can just go follow me in there and check out all the content I have. My pin tweet has a link right to my newsletter where I post most of my draft content, most of my NFL content. So if you want to go check that out, that's where you find all the latest updates. It's all free content right now. And you put your email in, you can subscribe and get the notification in your inbox whenever I post.
And I am on Twitter and Instagram, the handle DB Talking Sports, D as in Dan, B as in Bob. Give us a follow, give us a like, share, hop in the DMs, ask questions. Don't be shy. When we're doing these shows, hop in the chat, ask questions, make comments. We will show them on air. We'll discuss them, all that good stuff. And I want to remind you guys that betting.net finds the best promotions, offers, and bonus codes, so you don't have to. So head on over to betting.net now to take advantage of things like free bets and matching deposits. For Sam Teets, I am Dan Kornhauser. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you guys